The moon hung low, a watchful eye in the inky sky, casting an eerie glow over the desolate moor. Its light seemed to dance with the shadows, creating an unsettling atmosphere. Wind howled through the gnarled branches of ancient oaks, their skeletal fingers scratching at the crumbling facade of Kingfisher Manor. The sound was almost like a whisper, a ghostly voice carried by the night. Once a majestic manor, it now stood desolate, a tombstone against the desolate landscape. The grandeur of its past was now just a memory, lost to time and neglect. The stone, weathered and grey, seemed to absorb the meager light, exuding an aura of sorrow and decay. Each crack and crevice told a story of years gone by, of laughter and tears now forgotten. A shiver ran down my spine as I stepped out of the car, the slam of the door echoing in the stillness like a gunshot. The silence that followed was deafening, amplifying my unease. A chill wind whipped around me, carrying the scent of damp earth and something else, something ancient and unwelcoming. It was as if the very air was warning me to turn back. This place had secrets. I could feel it in my bones. The mansion seemed to watch me, its dark windows like eyes, hiding untold stories and forgotten horrors. My name is Samuel, and Kingfisher Manor in all its dilapidated glory was now mine. The manor stood like a forgotten relic, its grandeur faded but still palpable. A distant relative, a man I had never met, had bequeathed it to me in his will. The inheritance came as a shock, a twist of fate I never saw coming. The lawyer had been tight-lipped, saying only that it was my birthright. His expression was unreadable, adding to the mystery that now surrounded my life. The air inside was stale, thick with dust and the silence of ages. It felt like stepping into a time capsule, untouched by the world outside. Moonlight spilled through grimy windows, illuminating cobwebs that draped the once grand foyer like macabre tapestries. The eerie light added to the sense of foreboding. Each footstep echoed in the cavernous space, the sound swallowed by the oppressive silence that hung heavy in the air. It was as if the house itself was holding its breath. There was a presence here. I could feel it watching me, appraising me from the shadows. The feeling was unsettling, as if the manor was alive and aware of my every move. The first night was the worst. Every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind against the window panes sent shivers down my spine. I lay awake in the darkness, listening, my imagination conjuring up horrors in every shadow. Then the whispers started. Faint at first, like the rustling of silk skirts, they seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. As the nights wore on, they grew stronger, whispers of pain and anger, of betrayal and despair. They seemed to be trying to tell me something, to warn me, but about what? One night, drawn by an unseen force, I found myself standing before a massive, ornately framed mirror in a dusty, disused room. The room seemed to have been untouched for years, with cobwebs hanging from the corners and a thick layer of dust covering every surface. The air here was thick with a palpable sense of dread. It felt as though the room itself was alive, breathing in sync with my own anxious breaths. As I stared into the clouded glass, I saw a flicker of movement, a figure standing behind me. My heart pounded as I tried to make sense of what I was seeing. It was my reflection, but not as it should be. The image was distorted, twisted in a way that made my skin crawl. The face that stared back at me was twisted in a rictus of pure terror, eyes wide with unspeakable fear. It was as if the reflection was trying to warn me of something, and then, with a sickening lurch, I realized it wasn't my reflection that was afraid. The terror in its eyes was directed at something else, something I couldn't see. It was afraid of me, of what stood behind me, its hand reaching out from within the mirror itself. The realization sent a shiver down my spine as I felt an icy presence closing in.